Welcome everyone to the Northern Affinity video podcast. So I'm Michael Edwards. I am the founder of the Northern Affinity. Thank you very much for joining today's discussion. We'll go to our expert that we are speaking to very, very soon. But I just want to give you an update on what the purpose of this conversation is. So for me, there's twofold, really. Firstly, is for you and I to learn something from the person that we are speaking to get new ideas, to stimulate thought. That's a great start for me. But secondly, for me, which is a big passion of mine, is to give a platform to the person I'm speaking to. It's an opportunity for really, really good people who are doing really, really good things to demonstrate that, and for you to hopefully see that. So, and they're the kind of overall, all our contributors are these type of people, are small business owners. People are doing things for good. So please, if you could follow and subscribe, whether you're watching this as a video on YouTube or you're listening via your various podcast platforms, please do subscribe. Listen to our other contributors. There's been some fantastic discussions we've had in the past, and I'm sure we will have in the future. So thank you very much. I'm delighted to say now the video podcast is sponsored by Leeds Beckett University and their Help to Grow management training program. If you have a business, an SME that has between 5 and 250 employees, and you're looking at something to help you and your business grow, I would advise looking at this. It's 90% funded. It's a fantastic opportunity for so many people. The program's open now, so please do check it out, and I'll put all the details in the show notes. Enjoy the discussion. So welcome everyone to the latest edition of the video podcast. Delighted to be joined today by Meg. And for those people who have read the notes or seen on the screen now, we're going to talk about sheep today, which is a slight different thing from normal. But welcome to the podcast, Meg. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So before we move on and we kind of go into what it is all about and give people more details, do you want to just tell a little bit about you and what you guys do, and then I'll start asking some questions.
Yeah, so I'm Meg, and I'm from Splat Training, and as one of Splat Training's products is Yorkshire team building, so that is team building with sheep, which I always have to leave a beat after saying that because people go, "What did you actually say, sheep? What?" But yeah, sheep, and you've been sheep herding with us, haven't you, Michael? So you'll know how crazy it is, and also hopefully know that it works.
Absolutely, I'm sure this will come up in the discussion. And I guess before we kind of go into the details of the sheep side of things, it's probably good to talk about team building, because I think there'll be a lot of people who watch or listen to this who, as soon as the word team building comes up, think about, should we say, the more traditional days they've been taken on when working for a corporate company. I'm sure there's different versions of that, and it's more a day to dread than anything else. But tell us what, in your eyes, what team building actually is, what it should do, generically speaking, what are the benefits for people to do team building?
Yeah, so it's really interesting that you say about what the word team building makes people feel. So we do, our other part of our business is first aid training. So we do first aid training and team building, and both of those terms are things that could fill people with dread. Being told you've got to go on the first aid course, oh God, or we're going on a team building event, guys. You're like, oh no, we're going to go and throw some eggs out of a window and see which one cracks first, or build a tower with some spaghetti. And that sounds really boring. And then think about how it makes us feel. So we try to say that we take the eye roll out of team building, because that word can make people roll their eyes. The team building in the traditional sense, the main objective for, in general, with any team building activity, whether it's boring or fantastic, is for communication skills, employee motivation, collaboration. And most of the teams that we speak to, they just want to get their team out of their natural habitat and take them somewhere different. And whether that is down the pub or to some hotel boardroom, or coming sheep herding, getting them out of their day-to-day environment is really, really useful. And yeah, so the main focus for team building is communication, employee motivation, and collaboration in general.
Do you think that since the pandemic, that team build, we'll talk generically, but obviously what you do, but team building, people have appreciated more the benefit of, like you just touched on there, getting out of, let's say, the office, their normal environment, should do something else to get to know people in a different way, because you get to know people by sitting next to them in an office in a certain way, but we all know that in different environments you get to know them in other ways. So do you think that has there been a change, I guess, over the last 2 or 3 years since the pandemic?
Interesting one, because for us, I think we've done better since the pandemic has got to a point where people are more comfortable. We did do a few events in the times in the pandemic where we had to keep people 2 meters apart and wear masks in certain activities, which was all very confusing. But now, yeah, I feel like teams, especially, what are we, like 4 years on now, teams and team leaders are saying, yes, now's the time we need to get them together, because people have been working remotely for so long now that there's I mean, it's in the news, isn't it? People off sick because they're working remotely and feeling so anxious and stressed because of the remote working, and people being encouraged to get back into offices. So getting them out of their office or out of their home offices and together in a different environment, is so beneficial. And we're seeing that being said to us so much now. When we're getting inquiries, they're saying we just need to get people together. The remote working is not working for the team spirit and the communication levels.
Absolutely, I thought that's what it would be. It's interesting earlier how you touched on this, like connotations that certain word, team building, even first aid training, has. Something I can empathise with when people say networking. It's a similar kind of idea. There's a lot of people who have a certain feeling about that, and that's mainly the reason why we never use that word. But I understand that, and I think there's a lot of people doing these things now where they're trying to change actually what it was, and I think the pandemic in a lot of cases has been a catalyst for that. It's a change. We realise we want different things, we need different things, and I think that's where we're doing that. So I think you guys are definitely doing that, and well, I know you are. So as you said, I've been team building with sheep before, and I can promise everyone it is a really good, fun day. It's something that you didn't think you'd ever do, but is definitely worth doing. So why sheep, Meg? Why sheep?
Well, sheep are the best team that you'll ever come across. So as everybody knows, sheep flock together, and they stay together, they follow each other. So they're a really solid team. And for you to, put your team against them, it really, as we like to say in Yorkshire, sorts the wheat from the chaff and gets people thinking about how you can communicate with each other and how you can work together in a way that gets the sheep to respond. And because they're animals, they'll only respond if they're feeling the right vibes, basically, from your team. So if everybody's working together in harmony and communicating well, and I'm not going to give any tricks of the game away, but then the sheep will cooperate as well. So yeah, the sheep, they can feel you, and it just works. And you'll know that, as you know from when you came, there's lots of times throughout the day where we trial and error certain ways of working with the sheep, and you find the way that works. So yeah, they're just a really great team to go against, and you'll realize that you need to work with them. I feel like I should tell you about where it started. Why sheep? So our first aid training room, which I'm in currently, is based on a farm, which is obviously where the sheep are. And years ago, Amy, who I work with, was teaching first aid course, and during the break was just looking out of the window, this one that's right next to me, and the farm lads, like 3 or 4 at the time, they'll have been the late teens, early 20s, 3 or 4 lads trying to herd some sheep really badly and getting really annoyed with each other. And she just saw it and thought, there's something in this. And Amy's previous experience is all working with young people in the outdoor industry. So she's really used to doing problem solving and all that kind of thing, and getting groups to work together and communicate. So she could see the potential in a group of people in the field with the sheep, and how actually if you just communicate well, you might get somewhere. And it's really amusing when you watch these farmers, because they never actually communicate well, and they generally will, we've got teams that can do it better than the actual farmers now.
Well,
Yeah, did I answer your question?
No, I absolutely did. And I think, so my experience of it, well, whilst the people I was there with, we weren't people from the same team. We were kind of all people who run their own small business. So actually, there's another benefit to that, which was you get to know people a little bit, and you get to talk to them in a different way, and you almost take yourself out of that business zone, as it were, and you kind of that. I think most people have got almost a bit of a persona that they put on when they're in work mode, and you kind of come out of that a little bit, and you get to know people a bit differently. So I think there's that as well as a benefit, which obviously will also be relevant for teams as well.
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest deal for us with getting the team to come to the farm, the first thing is you have to come in your scruffs. So you can't wear your shirt and tie or your stilettos. So the first thing when everybody arrives at the farm is they're wearing stuff that they wouldn't usually wear to work. So straight away you're learning something different and new about the people in your team. And then, like you said, the professionalism is striked off the list as soon as you get here, because you can't be professional in terms of office profession whilst you're in the field with the sheep. And it breaks down any kind of hierarchy as well. So if you've got your MD and the cleaner and everyone in between, that doesn't matter when you're in the field, because it's the people who are getting the group to communicate and helping make the plans and getting involved who become the ones who might be the most important. But actually, it tends to work out that everybody becomes much more equal, and people you might not expect can take the lead, or vice versa, and that's what's really interesting. And the key underpinning value for us at Yorkshire Team Building is being human. And so we want to create this experience where people come along and can just be human. They don't have to worry about pretending, like you might be putting on that office professional persona that you might do when you walk into work. And we don't want that. We want to help teams create a workplace culture where it's about being human and about being honest, because we feel like that's where the best benefits come from.
I think it's interesting you say that about being yourself as well. So I think one of the things I noticed from the day was that kind of everybody's, should we say, natural style comes out a little bit, as in you've got some people who are head first, let's just go for it, see what happens, and we'll work it out from there and react. Yeah. Those people. You've got other people who kind of, metaphorically speaking, take a step back and kind of observe. And they might not say anything for a little while, but they're kind of working things out. Then all of a sudden they'll come up with essentially a great idea, and we'll change that. And everything in between, you get all these kind of almost, as you said, maybe you've all got these work roles which might be different from that, but all of a sudden in that environment, your natural way comes about, and that might be really interesting for a business to see how you use that then in the business world, isn't it? Because if you've got someone who's just kind of naturally just takes a step back and observes and then comes up with the ideas, well, you want to harness that.
Definitely.
But also the other people who just jump head first in, give it a go, work out as I go along. You need to harness that as well. They're all good strengths. You just need to work out what everybody's are. I thought that's the one thing I noticed from the day.
Definitely. We've had one of our teams that we had come in the past. They came presenting a certain problem they'd had in the workplace. And actually, when they left, their managers said, "Oh, we've realised it's our fault. We're the ones who've been micromanaging them. And now that we've come here and we've let them get involved with this, we realise we could put more trust in them, and actually we'll get more out of that." And another team that I've got coming recently was saying that one of the things that they're looking for from the day is to identify the people who are worth promoting. So like you just said about kind of seeing these different potentials in people. So yeah, what a manager that I've been speaking to recently said, yeah, I want to be looking out for these potentials whilst they're out in the field. So that's really interesting, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but probably be good to do this now. Is if someone does look to do this, what does the day look like roughly? I don't know you can slightly amend it for each different team, but kind of a typical day, should we say?
Yeah, so it totally depends on the team, the size of the team, and the biggest deal is the objective that the team is looking to get out of the day. So I'll rewind a little bit further and tell you a bit of the process of booking the day as well, because the first thing that happens for us once we've got an inquiry is we have a really in-depth conversation with that person to make sure that we're right for each other, because we want to make sure they're coming to an event that is going to help them with whatever it is that's pushed them to look for something, basically. I don't really like the phrase pain point, but usually that's why somebody is looking for some kind of product, isn't it? So we'll really get to the bottom of what the objectives are that they're looking to take away from the day with us. So it's not just about coming and having a fun day. Obviously, the day that you came on, it was because it was a networking event, but when it's really getting into the juiciness of what's going on in that team, how can we help them improve their workplace culture, for example, then we'll have some really in-depth conversations about that. We'll have a discovery call on Zoom with every decision maker in the company and really get to understand who's in the team, how we can, what and how we can do things to really work on the problems they're having or the things they would like to do better. And then from then, we'll design the day specifically for them. So we have a rough outline that we do every time, but we'll add certain things in or take certain things out and really bespoke the day to work for those objectives that they're looking for. So on a typical day, the team will arrive and we'll be having some tea and cake. We like to have lots of food and cake and tea. Tea is very important in Yorkshire. So we'll come and have a cup of tea, have lots of cups of tea, and it'll just be about having some mingling time, getting to know each other, getting to know the environment, and then we'll get to know the team. So we'll play a lot of silly games that involve people introducing themselves and us getting to know them and having a laugh and just breaking down those barriers as well. We'll probably facilitate some more in-depth conversations about the team makeup whilst everybody's there, so not just the senior management or whoever it was that have been involved before they've come. And that'll be stuff about, how do you feel about the team, and your day-to-day work life, so we can really get to grips with stuff. And then we'll probably get out in the field. We'll make a plan beforehand, get to know, get people in either smaller teams or one big team, depending how many people. Make a plan of what you're going to do when you're out in the field with the sheep. I don't want to give too much away here, so I'm trying to be very careful. And so we'll kind of say, this is what's going to happen. You guys make a plan of how you're going to make it happen. And they'll go out in the field and do the tasks we've set with the sheep that I'm not going to tell you any more about because I'm terrible for just like keeping talking and I'll tell you all the secrets of the trade when actually teams need to come and check it out. So after sheep herding, then we'll have Yorkshire burritos. You had a Yorkshire burrito, didn't you? Can you tell us how amazing it is? Because I've never had one because I'm vegetarian and gluten-free, unfortunately.
As much as I enjoyed running around chasing after sheep in a field, it was probably my favourite bit of the day, I'll be honest, Meg.
Was it?
Anything involved food generally for me that's kind of my default setting.
Yeah, so a Yorkshire burrito, for those who don't know, is a Sunday dinner wrapped in a Yorkshire pudding, which most people say are absolutely amazing. And I am very sad that I've never been able to try one. If anyone comes across a gluten-free vegetarian version, then hit me up. That'd be amazing. So yeah, Yorkshire burritos, and so some good chilling out time eating your burritos. And then we do lots of work about, we might go back in the field with the sheep depending where we got to, but we'll also do lots of review work. So really understanding the ins and outs of what we've done in the field and why and who's done what and how we can take that forward into the workplace. Again, with a few more little games and activities. And then at the end of the day, before everybody leaves, we wrap the day up with some meditation. And after that, people then record their feelings onto a piece of bunting, like a little triangle of bunting. And you write that down in your own space. You don't have to share that with anyone. And then I put that together and sew it up, and we send that back to the company a week later, which is really nice for them to keep then, because it has everybody's little thoughts and feelings about the day on it.
Yeah, and it's such a good day. And like I said, I know you don't want to give too much away, but I would highly recommend. Is there a kind of maximum number of people that can get involved on the day?
Well, so we've recently got a booking for 40 people, which is the maximum we've had so far. Until not long ago, we'd said 25 was the maximum number, but we are having 40 soon in September. So sky's the limit. We'll see what we can do.
Exciting
Parking's
times.
going to be a bit of an issue. They're going to come on a minibus.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So we'll see how 40 goes.
Perfect, Meg. Well, like I said, I recommend anyone just kind of check this out and give it a go, because it is a really, obviously it's a fun day, which is important, but there's a lot to be gained from it as well, because I think it's very easy to think this is just about having fun, and having fun is great. It really is. It's an important part of everything, but there's benefits that come from the fun as well. So I would highly recommend that. Just finally for me then, Meg, if anyone wants to kind of get hold of you, find out more information about what you guys do, what's the best thing to do?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, if you search Yorkshire Team Building, you'll find us. There's not many other companies called Yorkshire. Well, there aren't any other companies called Yorkshire Team Building. So LinkedIn, and you can find me and get in touch with me personally if you want to, or our website, yorkshireteambuilding.co.uk, and you can download our brochure on there, which has lots of details that I've already spoke about, and contact details as well. But if you do download the brochure, then you'll likely get a call from me the same day or the next day anyway. So that's probably the quickest way to get to speak to me about what we do.
Brilliant, Meg. Thank you so much for that. Like I said, it is obviously a fun and a light-hearted way of looking at something that actually is, there is a real benefit to it. So I'm sure hopefully there'll be people who'll be knocking the door down, because I would definitely recommend the day. So thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks for having me.